verses 33 through 35. In John chapter 11, verses 33 through 35. Jesus here in this account, he's very familiar with the family. He knows Lazarus, that's his good friend. He knows the family, he knows his sisters, and he loves them very much. But notice his reaction upon hearing of Lazarus' death. Verse 33 says, "When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who had come with her weeping, he groaned within himself and became troubled. He said, 'Where have you laid him?' They said to him, 'Lord, come and see.'" Verse 35, Jesus gave way to tears. You know, Jesus was a perfect man. So what does that mean? Well, he was in full control of his emotions. His thinking faculties were perfectly intact. He was not overly sensitive. But at the loss of his dear friend Lazarus, verse 35 says he gave way to tears. Seeing the family of Lazarus heartbroken and in pain, verse 33 means he groaned within himself. He became troubled. It really affected him to see his friend go through death and to see the family go through that as well. And maybe that's how we feel today, whether we're the immediate family experiencing the loss or close friends feeling their pain. But this account brings us comfort because we see that Jesus understood what it meant to lose someone that we love. And you see, Jesus is a perfect reflection of his heavenly Father, Jehovah. So what does that tell us? That they understand exactly down to the T the sentiments, the emotions, the stress, the anxieties that we're going through at this moment. And they understand it perfectly. But it's more than just understanding. It's also that they want to support us and comfort us during this time. How do we know this? Well, let's go to another comforting verse to show that God does have feelings for those who grieve and promises them comfort. If we go to Psalm 34, verse 18. Psalm 34, verse 18. It says, "Jehovah is close to the brokenhearted. He saves those who are crushed in spirit." So comforting, is it not, that Jehovah is close to us at this moment? He's ready to help us. He knows these feelings are intense. Death is something we were never meant to deal with. That wasn't the original purpose of God for mankind. Death was never a part of the equation. And so he gives us comfort to help us cope with death. Comfort by means of our family, our friends, and of course, through his word, the Bible. But as was mentioned, well, death was not part of the original purpose. So what happened? Why do we have death? Why does death exist? Well, it goes back to our forefather, Adam. See, Adam was a perfect man, and he was given the opportunity to live a perfect life on paradise earth in the Garden of Eden, where he could live life the way God intended to be, without pain, without suffering, without illness, without sickness, and without death. All he had to do was just follow one command from God, and that was not to eat from the tree of knowledge and good and bad. He could eat from any tree he wanted. There was plethora of vegetation. What would Adam do? Would he take advantage of the opportunity given to him? Or would he, without thinking of the consequences, selfishly take of that desire? Well, that's just what he did, unfortunately. And now notice the effects of that. We go to Romans chapter 5, verse 12. What Adam caused for the entirety of mankind. Romans chapter 5, verse 12. It says, "That is why, just as through one man sin entered into the world, and death through sin. And so death spread to all men because they had all sinned." So what does that help us to see? Because of Adam's mistake, he has passed down sin to each and every single one of us. And the end result of sin is death. Much like an inherited disease that we didn't ask for, we didn't want, but because of genetics, we inherited it. It's the same principle here with sin. We inherit it And because of that, we experience so many trials and hardships in this life. But as was mentioned, is this the end? Is this just the way things play out? Death and then end of story? No, there's so much more beyond that. In fact, the Bible teaches us that there's hopes that can help us to cope during these painful times. One of the most beautiful promises we have recorded in the Bible is one that helps us to see that death will not be here forever. Let's look at Revelation chapter 21, verse 4. Revelation chapter 21, verse 4. And this promise says, "And he will wipe out every tear from their eyes, and death will be no more. Neither will mourning, nor outcry, nor pain be any more. The former things have passed away." Imagine a time where death will be no more. And anything associated with death. It says outcry, pain. The former things have passed away. It'll be part of the past. So far gone that we can't even remember what death was like. Do we not long for that time where death is no longer in existence? Certainly we do. Certainly we do. We long to see our friend Sonyetta, our family member, and to be with her again. But the Bible continues to give us encouraging, comforting thoughts, because it not only does it highlight that death will be no more, but it also highlights the condition of the dead. Many feel that after a person dies, well, either they go through some sort of internal torment, or that they have responsibilities to care for, to watch over their family, things of that nature. But what does the Bible teach? What did Sonyetta believe? Well, let's look at this verse here in Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verse 5. Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verse 5. It says, "For the living know that they will die, but the dead know nothing at all, nor do they have any more reward." Well, we'll stop there. So what does this help us to see? Well, you and I, we can acknowledge that at any point in time, death can come for us. We're living. We are conscious. We're aware of our surroundings, what's happening at this point in time. But what does it say about the dead? It says, well, the dead know nothing at all. So at this point in time, a person that has passed away, they're no longer conscious. They're no longer thinking. But why does that bring us comfort? Because that person that's passed away is no longer suffering. They're no longer aware of the pain, the anxieties, and the stress that come with living in this hard life. They're no longer going through hardship. In fact, you could say they're in a sleep-like state, resting. They are no longer suffering. And again, that brings us so much comfort to know that Sonyetta is not suffering anymore. But as was mentioned, that's not the end of the story. It continues. So then what hope do we have if that's not the end of the story? Well, notice again another beautiful promise from our God Jehovah in John chapter 5, verses 28 and 29. John chapter 5, verse 28 and 29. And here God appoints his son Jesus to fulfill this promise. He says, "Do not be amazed at this, for the hour is coming in which all those in the memorial tombs will hear his voice and come out, those who did good things to a resurrection of life." And we'll pause there. See, we know Sonyetta did good things. We knew she was a good person, a wonderful person, a loving person. And we long to see her again. But this verse helps us to see that this is a reality. Now, sometimes it's hard to believe because we see so much bad and wickedness in this world on a day-to-day basis. We look at the news lines, the headlines, and it's nothing but bad, bad news. But this verse comforts us because it says, don't be amazed at this. Why not be amazed? And we've made so many technological advancements where we can do things that seem impossible today, just on our phones. But here it's saying that our Creator will have the ability to bring back human life. So if we as imperfect humans can make these great advancements in technology, yet we can't bring someone back to life, we know this, right? But our God has the ability to bring those who have died back to life, the ability to resurrect them at His command, at His voice. Simply incredible. But will Sonyetta be resurrected to the way things are right now? To all this bad news, to all this disaster? Is that what we would want for Sonyetta to come back to? Well, what does the Bible teach us? Let's look at another comforting verse, a truly incredible one. If we go to Luke chapter 23, verse 43. Luke 23, verse 43. And here Jesus, upon the stake, about to die, has a criminal beside him, but he tells him a comforting promise that extends to you and I, and definitely to Sonyetta. It says, Luke 23:43, and he said to him, "Truly I tell you today, you will be with me in paradise." And when we think of that word paradise, what comes to your mind? Perhaps something tropical, something beautiful, something tranquil, something stress-free. Some of us perhaps haven't had a chance to experience that in a long time. But that's the promise we have here, that the condition of the dead will come back. No more mourning, no more outcry, no more pain. The former things have passed away. What does that leave us? With the opportunity to live on a paradise earth, the way God originally intended, without death in the equation. Imagine being able to spend time with the Sonyetta and seeing her in her full health, full vigor, running with her, playing with her, doing things we'd always wanted to do with her, and enjoying the time with her. We knew that she was limited because of her health, because of her sickness. But coming back to a paradise earth in great health, no more stress and anxiety, that's something we long for dearly. A paradise earth. We know God created this beautiful planet for us to enjoy and to live to the fullest. And so those Bible promises bring us comfort. It helps us to see the condition of the dead, the hopes that we have, and what we can look forward to in the future. And Sonyetta understood that. That's why, as one of Jehovah's Witnesses, she shared that hope with many others. She knew that people needed encouragement. People needed something to look forward to during these dark times. And so she would share Bible truths just like we're sharing today with many others. So, again, certainly a quality person. And when we reflect on what she's done with her life, the impact she's made on so many, it helps us to reflect on our life. Are we using our life to the fullest? Are we ready to make an impact like Sonyetta did and help others and benefit others? Here's food for thought in this important verse, Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verse 11. Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verse 11. It says, "I have seen something further under the sun, that the swift do not always win the race, nor do the mighty win the battle, nor do the wise always have the food, nor do the intelligent always have the riches, nor do those with knowledge always have success, because time and unexpected events overtake them all." Really, we don't know what tomorrow holds. We don't even know what the next hour holds. Time and unexpected events overtake us all. But we know Sonyetta used her life to bring glory to her God and to help other people. What a great example for us to follow and keep in mind, that we want to use our life in a way that brings glory to our God, Jehovah, and helps people. Truly an outstanding example. And so certainly we do long to see her again. But in the meantime, what can we do? We continue to comfort one another like you have been doing at this very point in time and beyond that. So we thank you for your support, for your love to the family, to the friends during this difficult time. But we know that we can continue to move forward and enjoy life. We know that's what Sonyetta would want for many of us, to be happy, to continue doing the best we can. And so with one final thought to help us to look for encouragement and hope during this time, let's look at our last verse, Psalm chapter 9, verse 9 and 10. If we're struggling with those feelings, those emotions, those anxieties, here's a reassuring thought to help us. Psalms 9, verses 9 and 10. It says, Jehovah will become a secure refuge for the oppressed, a secure refuge in times of distress. Those knowing your name will trust in you. You will never abandon those seeking you, O Jehovah. Certainly there's a lot of emotions, and it's understandable. A lot of mixed feelings, sadness. But we're reassured by Jehovah that he will be with us during this distressing time, that he will never abandon us during our time of need. Sonyetta knew this about our God Jehovah, and certainly she would want you to trust in him just like she did. So may we look forward to the time where we can once again spend time with our dear sister, our family member, our friend Sonyetta, and look forward to the time where we can live with her on a perfect paradise earth in perfect health under our God Jehovah. Well, friends, we thank you so much for, again, being here with the family and showing that support. What we'll do now is we'll conclude in a prayer, and afterwards we'll have some additional details for you, okay? So let's say a prayer. Our Heavenly Father, Jehovah God, we thank you so much for this time to be together and to remember the impact that Sonyetta had on her family and her friends and on the community. Truly, she was a person that reflected your qualities in every way, Jehovah. She was loving, kind, compassionate, merciful, understanding. And we need more people like that desperately in these last days. And so may we meditate on her example, the way she did her best to imitate you, and may we try to do our best to imitate her and you, Father. We know that we need as much comfort and support during these difficult times. We deal with so much stress and so much anxiety. And that was never what you wanted for us. You wanted us to live happily, to enjoy life. This was the original intent and purpose for mankind. And we know that one day, Father, that will be fulfilled. So in the meantime, help us to hold on to these precious hopes that you've given us to help us endure. Help us to comfort one another, and help us to rely on you always. We know that with any distressing thought, anything that pains us, we can always go to you, because not only are you our Father, but you're also our friend, Jehovah. And so we thank you for your love, your mercy, your compassion, and also your understanding of this difficult time. So continue to be with the Solis family, continue to support them, and the Cruz family as well, and continue to be with the friends and all of us, Jehovah, during this time. We again thank you for your love, your mercy, support, and please forgive us for the times we fail you and fall short. All this we pray in the name of your Son, Christ Jesus. Amen. Well, very good. Well, again, thank you so much. At this time, this discourse has concluded, but if you would like to come up and console the family, share some encouraging thoughts and words, please feel free to do so. Again, thank you so much.
a really, really, really kind soul, but she was feisty as well. I remember when I was a young man, really young, and I was in a little bit of trouble with two other guys, fighting two guys. And Sonyetta jumps in out of nowhere. She didn't have to jump in. She just jumped in regardless of any consequence, right? I've never heard of any guy going fisticuffs with his sister against two other people. But we have so many great memories and so many stories about the great time, just great times we spent with her. And I want you guys to always remember those stories in your heart, because that's how she'll like us to remember her, with who she was, loving, kind, and compassionate. Thank you.
Wow. Well, I'm Sonyetta's younger brother. I'm the youngest out of all of them. And Sonyetta was my best friend growing up. We had so much fun growing up. We used to think my dad was a super spy, right? We used to play little tricks on my brothers growing up, make some kind of potion out of everything underneath the sun, try to get them to drink it, which would probably kill them. Yeah. And also, speaking about fighting, me and her did beat some guy up, me and Sonyetta. Jumped some guy. My sister was sassy, but she had the biggest heart that I've ever met in a woman, ever. She danced at my wedding. She was about 8 months pregnant. Coveralls, I don't know how she did, how big she was with Isaac, her son. She was getting down too. She had some moves. Her and my wife became very good friends. Sonyetta had the heart. She was a sound of sunshine in this dark world. She had the biggest laugh, the kindest spirit. She'd give you the last. She'd give anybody the last, give anybody her last, no matter who it is or what it was. She loved everyone. And I know she's not in pain anymore. She's resting. Hopefully we all do see her again. She was, felt like I lost a limb. I'm sorry, but my sister was probably the best sister that anybody can have. I just hope that we see her again. She is the best. I'm sorry.
I can't believe this is real. It's not real to me. My little girl, she calls me 3 times a day. And now I'm gonna wait for a call that will never come. I said, how do you say goodbye to a smile? how do you say goodbye to a dream? She was the light in my eyes. She was my sunshine. Her, I never, honestly, I never wanted a girl. I was satisfied with 3 boys. But my husband insists on having a girl. And so when she was born, that's the only one he came in to see. And she was in such a hurry to come out. She just flew out, and the doctor almost dropped her. And he said, somebody's ready, wanted Henry to see the world. And then once she came out, he gave her to her dad, and then those 2 disappeared together. I said, well, he got what he wanted. But Sonyetta always, because she grew up around all boys, she thought she was a boy for a long time. And I challenged her. I said, if you're a boy, where's your personals? She said, I just push the button and it'll fly out. I said, push the button. And she just, when she found out she was a girl, she just passed out on the floor. I told her, I said, it's not that bad. It comes with some benefits. But for a long time, she would just walk around with, my husband said, put a dress on her. Put a dress on her. She walked around like flipped up. He said, put back the pants. And she wanted, I want to twerk. I want to twerk. I said, no, girls play with dolls. My husband bought her a doll, snapped off the head and the arms, broke the legs off, and kept the shoes and the underwears. Why, I never know. But that was Sonyetta. She always laughed. She loved to laugh. But in high school, they called her Little Mike Tyson because, as one of the guards said, I didn't know people can fly, but your daughter jumped up and mugged somebody in the eye. I went, sorry. But Sonyetta was always so much fun. And she, even when she was pregnant, she just loved, she was full of love. She loved everybody, and there's not one person can say, oh, she did a mean thing. She was always helpful, and she always had a second mama she called Marcy. I look for her, and she's down the street with Marcy. And I said, playing nerds or whatever. But I know she loved everybody here in Maisa, her sister, Rosalind, who used to call her Sonyetta, and Yvonne, and Tatiana was her tea buddy, and Elisa, Michelle, who she was named after. There's so many of people here. And my husband's on a Zoom, and Aunt Jane, oh my God, they were thick as thieves. She just loved her Aunt Jane. So I just wanted to say, she's not gone. She's sleeping. She's sleeping. And so when she wakes up, like she did before, she's going to say, why is everybody looking at me? That's what she said. They said, you died. I did? She didn't know. She said, just people standing around. And I had to tell her, yeah, I had to do CPR. And you did? So when she wakes up, imagine her not suffering, because I was with her to the very end. I said, I brought you in, and I saw you when you left. But she promised that she wouldn't go. I'm sorry. My husband couldn't be here because he's very ill. But he's on Zoom. And we were the first two to see her. And my husband named her. He named her after my mom and after my sister, Michelle. But she loved you, Isaac. You were her smile. I used to tell you jokes when you were in her tummy. And then when you came to the door, she would go, stop, stop. She's making you jump around. She loved LT with that deep voice and all the girls. She had so many. she was there with and cut the cord to Riri. Yeah, we were both there. And all of you guys have a part of her. You guys are feisty. Sonia is so much like her, and Bella looks like her, feisty as ever. So, and Joseph, oh my gosh, that was his superhero. Joseph can do anything. And like Angelo said, they used to plan things and make potions and try to get the brothers to drink it. But she loved all her friends, her co-workers, they were her best friends. So I just wanted to say that she loved real deeply Monica, all of them. Solis is on the Zoom, so he's by himself. Just wanted to say, I love you, sweetie. She loves you, but it's not goodbye. It's just sleep for now, my beautiful girl. Sleep for now. You'll awaken again, and we'll be there to see you, and you say, what is everybody looking at me for? So thank you guys for coming.
Hello. So, what I'm about to say is just directly from my heart. Honestly, to be honest and frank with all of you, I tried writing this down. I tried writing this down, but to say, there's just so much to say about her. Like it's difficult to put into words. But I'm her daughter, Isabella, and I just want to thank you guys all for coming here and for being with us today and celebrating the life of just one of the most wonderful women one could ever meet. She was just the best friend, the best daughter, the best woman, the best mother anyone could have asked for, anyone could have met. As everyone was saying before, she was just like, she just exuded this joy about her. There's something in her so spirited and so warm. I've never known anything like it. She just had this quality about her. She just had this zeal, you know. She would always had this way of making everything, like, warming up a room. It could have been the worst circumstances. It could have been like something stressful, something terrible could have happened. I remember one time, if you guys were in Texas, you probably remember this. Back in 2021, like when the snow came down, and we all got snowed in, all the power came out, and at that time, we had no idea it was going to get so bad. And we ended up having to make do with the best we had, you know, for those few days. And I just remember that whole night, I feel like I would have been more stressed about it, you know. Maybe I would have been more scared because all the power was out. But that whole night we were just together, and we were just joking amongst each other. We were just telling stories and playing games together. She just had this way of lightening you up and just warming up a situation. I could talk to her about anything. You could talk to her about anything. Her heart was just open. She was just that sort of person. We would talk to each other for hours and hours. I'd just be in her room, and we'd just be on the bed together, and we'd just talk about anything and everything. And she was always so passionate. You know, you could be talking about the weather, and she would give you like this you would be talk about the color of the sky or the weather or something mundane, and she had this way of turning it into something so enjoyable and so thoughtful. She was a very thoughtful person, very thoughtful. She always she was just this very warm person. I'm sorry. It's there was just something about her that I feel like I'll never see again. And I'm so glad that all of you came to see her today, to celebrate someone like her. And I hope that if there's anything we could do to celebrate her life is to exude that same love and that same compassion that she gave so freely to everyone. I think even though she may not be here with us, I think the love that we all share amongst each other and the wonderful people she cultivated in her life, that exudes the same love and the same joy that she once had. And I hope if there's anything I could say today, that we all celebrate her life by showing that same love and compassion towards each other. That we all love freely and are as thoughtful and as kind as she was. And that way she'll always be with us. I always tell this to everyone, but all the best qualities that I like about myself, I took directly from her. Everything that, like every part of me that I think is the best parts of me, I learned directly from her. And so I hope today that we all continue to celebrate her in that way. Just that love and that warmth she gave, let's all give that to each other. And especially in this, I know these times would be difficult, but even months after this, years after this, we can continue to celebrate her life and what she wanted and what she would have done by showing that love to each other, letting her live through us in that manner. And I just thank you for letting me speak. I'm sorry, this is just directly from my heart, but thank you guys for coming.
I guess it's my turn. So thanks everybody for coming. I'm Ruben Solis, Jr., Sonyetta's oldest brother. You know, my father's not right here right now, Ruben Solis Sr. He's in Chicago in a hospital waiting for possibly a heart transplant. So it's some difficult times happening right now. But, you know, we're here to talk about Sonyetta. And, you know, there's been a lot of sadness, a lot of sad stories. But, you know, let's talk about Sonyetta. Yeah, they were saying she's sassy. Yeah. She liked to drink wine. You know, if she was here right now, she'd have a toast with us. You know, that's the way Sonyetta always was. And I wanted to say something about, you know, because on behalf of my father, since he's not here. So I remember when my wife, Maisa, was pregnant with my daughter, Julia, our first child. And, you know, once I went to the doctor, and the doctor, you know, he was like, I think it's going to be a girl. And I was a bit disappointed. Wanted a boy, kind of like a lot of guys, you know, and it's a bit down. Called my dad. I'm like, hey, looks like Maisa's having a girl. And he's like, well, what's wrong with you? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, that's a blessing, son. He's like, daughters are the most wonderful creatures in the world. He goes, you and your brothers have bought me nothing but grief. He's like, you guys stole my car, destroyed my clothes, get in trouble in school. You know, every day it's something with you guys, but your sister's phenomenal. She's loving, she's caring, she's kind, she makes me food. You know, she does everything you guys don't. So he's like, having a daughter is actually a blessing. And my daughter, Sonyetta, has been a blessing to me. So I know, you know, my dad had very, very deep feelings for her. And I wish he could be here right now to speak for himself. So, you know, that being said, you know, the mic is open for anybody else who would like to speak. And so feel free to walk around you know, talk to all of us. And please share any interesting or funny stories that you have about Sonyetta. Like I said, this is a celebration to remember her And, you know, well, like Tito said, the laugh she has would light up the room. And so, you know, as far as I feel, she's still in my heart. You know, I'll never ever forget her, and neither will you. And for those of you who've traveled far to come here, we really appreciate it, the support. And those of you who were here in San Antonio, thank you as well. And so.
Hello, I'm Sonyetta, her favorite aunt. Because we was going to go, she told us that we was going to go on a girls trip when she got better. She said, where you want to go? I said, we'll go to Vegas. I said, I'm used to Vegas. She said, okay. I said, but one thing, we can't take your mom. Sorry, Sharon. I said, because we won't have fun if we take your mom. She said, okay. It'll be just me and you. I said, that sounds more better, because Sharon won't let us have fun. So that's what we was planning. But Sonyetta was my heart. I love that girl to death. She used to send me food. I said, I never knew this. But one time me and my husband was out. I'm a little nervous, though. Me and my husband was out. I came home. A bag was on my porch from DoorDash. I was like, now who said? I thought it was maybe my granddaughter's. I pick it up. It said, for me. And I was wondering who sent it to me. Time I got in the house, my phone was ringing. Sonyetta said, did you like your food? I said, that was you who sent me that food? She was like, yes, I want you to try different things. She always wanted me to try different foods. And I was like, okay. She wanted to take me to different places to try different foods. I said, you just like your dad, love to eat. Because Ruben loved to eat. He took us all over to eat, me and my mom. But I love Sonyetta so much. Sonyetta used to text me every day. I used to call her my sunshine, because I just loved her so much, and she showed me love. Even though through Texas, I still got her texts here. And I said, Sonyetta, send me a voicemail, because I want to hear your voice. And so she would send me a voicemail, and I still have my voice, because if I delete them, I feel like she is real, but I don't want it to be real. I love my niece so much. She knew it, too, because she texts me every day. She texts me. And I don't want to get rid of her texts, because it'll make it real. And I'm not ready for her to go. But my mom said, you don't want her here suffering, Jay. I said, no, but I just want her here, just to hear her voice and talk to her. Or she texts me, because I text her every morning. And if she didn't text me back, I'd call her mom and say, Sharon, I text Sonyetta. She ain't text me back. Sharon would say, well, she not feeling good today. But the next day, guarantee she sent me a text. Hi, Auntie, or hi, Aunt Jane, how are you doing today? I said, I'm doing okay. I want to know how you doing. She'll say, I'm okay. I had a little rough time yesterday, but I'm okay today. I said, well, keep fighting, because I love you and I want you here. And she kept fighting. She fought to the end. She never gave up, and I loved her for that. So thank you, everybody. That's a little bit of what I have a lot with me and Sonyetta, but I'm a little nervous. Like, I hate to see my baby gone. She was my heart. I loved her from my heart, and she loved me, and she let it be known that she loved me. Thank y'all.